They say true love conquers all. But in Abuja, people still whisper about a love that couldn't conquer blood. A love so pure it made heaven jealous. Yet so fragile, even God seemed to weep for it. Some stories don't begin with fireworks or fairy tale kisses. Some begin quietly, on a rainy afternoon, with two strangers and a single, silly excuse. It was a rainy afternoon at Chicken Republic restaurant in Abuja. Sophia was seated by the glass wall, watching raindrops race each other down the pane, lost in her thoughts. Her inhaler sat quietly beside her glass of orange juice, like a tiny guardian angel. Clinton walked in with his friends, tall, confident, calm, the kind of man that didn't have to raise his voice to own the room. His wristwatch gleamed under the dim light, his laughter soft but sure. He was the kind of presence that made people look twice. Their eyes met, just for a moment. She smiled politely, the kind of polite smile strangers exchange to fill silence. He smiled back, then walked past. But halfway through, he stopped, turned, and walked back. He said softly, "I think you dropped this." He was holding out a pen she hadn't dropped. It was such a silly excuse. But his voice had that calm warmth, like sunlight sneaking through rain clouds. She chuckled, shy but intrigued. And that was how it started. She was 30. An interior decorator beautiful in that quiet, unintentional way. An asthmatic since birth, a condition that had taught her to love slowly and breathe carefully. He was 32, a tech entrepreneur. A walking definition of wealth that didn't brag. He was deliberate, disciplined, the kind of man whose silence carried more than most people's words. Their love grew fast, like fire fed by the wind. He was intentional about her, always gentle, always patient, always watching her like she was made of glass. Every 2 weeks he would fly her to Lagos for the weekend. Dinner at Sky Restaurant, shopping at the Palms, private picnics on Banana Island. They would sit by the lagoon, her head on his shoulder, talking about nothing and everything. She used to say, "You make breathing easier." And he would smile and reply, "Then I'll keep doing it for the rest of my life." When she had an asthma attack in Abuja, he flew down from Dubai that same night. The doctors couldn't believe he wasn't her husband. He stayed by her side, wiping her sweat, whispering, "Breathe for me. Just breathe." When she opened her eyes the next morning, the first thing she saw was his face resting beside hers, asleep, but holding her hand tightly. That was the day she knew she wasn't just loved. She was chosen. People around them used to say, "This is the kind of love that makes heaven jealous." And truly, it was. He spoiled her silly, bought her a new car when hers broke down on her way to work, took her parents on vacation, just to say thank you for giving him his peace. Everything was perfect, too perfect, until one Saturday morning, her younger sister walked into her room holding a brown lab envelope. "Sister, I think you should see this." She opened it lazily, expecting a routine medical result, then froze. Her hand trembled. Her lips quivered. Her heart stopped. The words were bold, clear, final. Genotype. SS. Partner. AS. She didn't need a doctor to explain it. She knew. She sat there, staring at the paper like maybe, if she blinked long enough, it would change. But it didn't. They had gone for blood compatibility tests during his last visit. That evening, she told him. He sat in silence for a long time, then said softly, "We'll find a way." Tears filled her eyes. "If we marry, our children." He cut in, firm but tender. "Don't talk like that. We'll adopt if we must. I can't lose you." He held her face in his hands, as if his touch alone could rewrite their blood. But life had other plans. A month later, she collapsed at work. A severe asthma attack, complicated by sickle cell crisis. Her colleagues rushed her to the hospital. He was in Lagos when the call came. He got on the first flight to Abuja, his hands shaking the whole way. When he arrived, she was in the ICU, tubes everywhere, machines humming like sorrowful prayers. He knelt outside, tears falling silently, whispering, "God, please, take anything. Just let her live." When she woke up the next morning, she could barely talk. Her lips trembled as she whispered, "Maybe this is God's way of saying stop." He shook his head violently. "Don't say that. Please." She looked at him with the saddest smile. "I love you too much to destroy your future." He gripped her hand tighter. "You are my future," he responded. Her breathing grew shallow. "Please, don't make me choose between love and life." Then she closed her eyes and slept. After some days, Sophia was discharged from the hospital. Clinton stayed and nursed her back to life before he traveled back. For weeks she ignored his calls, blocked him, changed her number. Clinton drove down to Abuja, desperate. But Sophia's parents wouldn't let him in. He stayed outside their gate all day, standing under the scorching sun, until her father came out and said quietly, "Son, sometimes love isn't enough." He stood there, staring, until the evening wind began to blow. Then he got into his car and drove away. 3 months later, she died in her sleep. Asthma complications accompanied with sickle cell crisis. Her mother found her at dawn. The inhaler lay on the floor beside her bed, as if she had tried to reach for it, but couldn't make it in time. Clinton heard the news that afternoon. He was in a meeting. He just stood up and left with no words to anybody. Didn't speak, didn't cry, didn't eat for days. 2 weeks later, he sent flowers to her grave, white lilies, her favorite. Tied to them was a small note that said, "I still breathe for you." Then he disappeared. Nobody has seen him since. Some say he relocated. Some said he joined her. Some even say he lost his mind. Others say he lost himself somewhere between grief and silence. But those who knew them, those who saw how they loved, they still say that every time it rains in Abuja, if you stand by Chicken Republic restaurant and listen closely, you can hear a whisper through the glass, soft, broken, and eternal. "Breathe for me." And another voice, gentler still, replying, "I breathe for you." While some said she shouldn't have shut him out, they said being with her until her last would have made the pain less for him, and now he had to deal with the hurt of her rejection and the pain of her death. So what do you think? Love conquers all. But sometimes, love isn't meant to conquer. It's meant to teach. To show us that some hearts burn so brightly, they were never meant to last. So if you ever find someone who makes breathing easier, hold them close. Cherish every second. Because somewhere in Abuja, under the weight of 1,000 raindrops, there lies a grave where 2 hearts still keep time, one in silence, and one which might still be breathing for love.